One day, the engines were all resting at Wellsworth Station when they felt a very familiar smell. "I wonder what that smell is," said Thomas. "Can you smell that smell?" said Thomas. He was very confused. "Yeah," said Toby, "I don't know what it is." "I don't know what it is either," said Flora. "Well, it's very familiar." And the two tram engines puffed away to their work. "It is a familiar smell," said Billy. "I'll keep an eye on it." And Billy puffed away. Thomas knew what it was. "I think it's Whiff taking the garbage train again," said Thomas. And Thomas puffed away. At the Soda airport, Molly and Rosie felt the smell miles away. "Very familiar smell, I think," said Rosie. "Oh, it definitely is," said Molly. And the two engines puffed away to do their work. It was indeed Whiff pulling the garbage train. He was at the depot with Arry, Bert, and Salty. The twin diesel engines were beginning to tease Whiff. My, Whiff, a very smelly indeed." "Whiffy, Whiffy," said Bert. They were starting to get annoying. Whiff felt very sad, and very offended as well by these comments. Salty stood up for Whiff. "Arr, you two diesels, stop teasing Whiff, or I will get Sir Topham Hatt," said Salty. "He's not going to do anything because he's not an engine," said Arry. "Indeed," said Bert. And the two diesels puffed away. Salty got very annoyed. "Don't listen to them, Whiff," said Salty. "They're very annoying. Can be." Then the yard manager came to see the engines. "Whiff, it's time for you to take the garbage train to the depot. Make sure you get to there ASAP." And the yard manager left, and Whiff took off with the train. Further down the line, Arry and Bert were thinking how to pay Salty out. Then they started to run out of fuel. As they were passing Farquhar Station, they slowed and came to a complete stop. The diesels were very annoyed and surprised. "I'm afraid you're both out of fuel," said their drivers. Indeed. Arry and Bert started to get annoying. "This is very unfortunate," said Arry. "We should have refueled months ago." "Well, minutes ago, actually," said Bert. And the diesels began to argue, and nothing was solved. Then Salty came along. "Arry, me hearties," said Salty. "I think I've come to help you. Are you out of fuel?" "Oh, and by the way, you owe Whiff an apology," said Salty. Then Whiff came along. The garbage smell was getting very, very tense. "Well, it looks like I have a lot of trains to pull then," said Whiff jokingly. Then Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "Arry and Bert, I was told by the yard manager at the depot that you were teasing Whiff. You owe him an immediate apology," said Sir Topham Hatt. The diesels felt very shameful. "We're sorry, sir," they said. I know you are, and you should be," said Sir Topham Hatt, and he left. "We apologize for our comments earlier," said Bert. "We had no intention of harming you," said Arry. "It's all right, you two. We all accept your apology," said Salty. Then Rosie and Molly, who were reversing on the same line as the engines, backed up to them. The diesels were very surprised. "What's going on here?" said Rosie. "Out of fuel, I guess," said Molly. "That we are," said Arry, "unfortunately, but we have some help." "That indeed we are," said Bert agreeingly. Then Thomas, Billy, Toby, and Flora came up and backed up into Molly. "What is going on here?" said Flora. "I don't know," said Toby. "Looks like the diesels may have broken down." "Nah, they're out of fuel," said Billy. "I don't see any smoke coming from them." "You're right, and that smell was indeed Whiff taking the garbage train." "Good job, Whiff," said Thomas. And then the engines puffed home, feeling very accomplished and very well rewarded of their hard day's work. Molly took Arry and Bert's driver home, and Whiff took the train and the diesels to the sheds.